I'm Marianne Binetti, and today I'm going to teach you how to plant a tomato plant. And this technique can be used to plant a tomato plant into a container, like I'm doing here today, or the same technique for planting a tomato plant into the ground. And the technique involves changing the height of the soil. This is planted to about this deep on the stem. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the leaves and plant this tomato plant a good 1/3 deeper, so the stem all the way up to here is going to be covered with soil. So the first thing we want to do is soak the plant that's in the pot the night before or a couple of hours before. So I soak this plant really well, and the soil is moist. That's going to help it to pop out of the pot without damaging any of the leaves. So I am going to remove this tag. It tells you the variety of tomato in case I want to use it again. I'm going to save the tag and put it down the side of the pot so I'll know what the variety is. Because I'm growing a container, I am using a dwarf or patio tomato, sometimes called a determinate tomato. This one is called sun gold because the tomatoes ripen to kind of a golden color. It always wins the taste test. So sun gold is a great cherry tomato style of dwarf or determinate variety of tomato. The other kind of tomato is called indeterminate, and they get great, big, huge, sprawling. That's the kind you should probably put in the ground because they like to get really tall. So here's my neat and tidy tomato plant. Before I take it out of the pot, I'm going to use my clippers. I'm going to get in here. I know this is going to be very painful, but I'm going to snip off these lower branches. Okay? And the reason I'm doing that is because tomatoes are unique. You don't do this to all plants. But tomatoes have hairy stems, and all along this hairy stem, roots will grow as long as the stem is covered with soil. So by snipping off these branches, exposing this bare stem, I go ahead and give it this one too. You're going to get much more roots, and more roots means more fruits. So there I removed all those stems, and you can see when I put this in the ground, I'm going to have the soil level way up to this tall. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, the technique for getting this tomato plant out of the pot, you can see it's well watered. I did that the night before. Support it with my hand, turn the pot upside down. It's going to come out easily because I watered well, and I don't know, the roots aren't that big. If not, you go like this. You kind of massage the pot. Now it's really going to come out easily. Kind of turn it upside down. There's roots in the bottom of the pot. Don't worry, go ahead and remove those roots so it slides right out. Okay, that's a good root system here. But remember, it's going to be even better because I snipped off the lower branches. I'm just going to take with my thumb, disturb these roots a little bit. That's going to force them to grow out into the soil. Okay, now, center it in the center of the little pot. Now this one came with a little tiny stake on it. When you buy tomato plants at the nursery, this is a good tip. Wait. Don't buy your tomato plants too early. This is late June. The reason I wait so late to plant my tomato plants because we still get cold or cool nights below 50 degrees in early June. Tomato plants hate cold nights. Okay, so now I've cut off the leaves. I've removed this plant from its pot, and I set it in the middle of the pot. And I'm going to fill with the potting soil all the way up to within about 2 inches of the container. Now, the reason you don't want to fill your container gardens all the way to the very, very top is because you need room to add the water. Now, when it comes to watering tomatoes, there's one thing, and that is consistently. A tomato can adjust to low water if it's always had low water. But when you start out and you water it so the soil is nice and moist, you want to keep it that way all summer, especially if it's in a container. And your little tips you've heard about adding banana to the soil, Yeah, that makes sense because a banana has potassium, which tomatoes need. Or adding eggshells to the soil. Well, that makes sense because tomatoes need calcium. But to be practical, those things take a while to break down and the nutrients to be available to the plants. So instead, just add an all-purpose plant food. I'm using slow-release Osmocote. Got a cap full. If in doubt, read the label. It tells you how much fertilizer to use. So, once I have the soil in, it's fertilized, I'm going to add a tomato cage because you want to do this right the very, very day that you plant, because as the plant grows, it's going to be very difficult to get that tomato cage around the plant. Don't worry if you happen to bend or break a leaf. Tomatoes are pretty tough plants. Look at this, I got little baby green tomatoes already forming on this one. Now I'm going to force this down to support my tomato plant. There we go. Whoops. That's all there is to it. Add some water. Remember I left that 2 inches. Now if this was planted in the ground, I'm firming the soil, I'd form a little basin. Just shove the soil down so that it kind of makes like a little well or basin. There we go. Okay, give this a sunny spot. Be sure to let lots of air circulation, space it, about 21 to 24 inches apart from another tomato plant if it's in the ground or on a patio. And you're going to be enjoying tomatoes very, very soon. I see the green tomatoes. And having a great summer of tomato sandwiches. This has been Marianne Binetti with Easy Answers for Grape Gardens.